Hello everyone and welcome to yet another YouTube video, starting off with a very wonderful voice crack. Yes, good times are coming, I can tell. Now I know what you're thinking. Screw this guy, he hasn't uploaded in forever. Screw him, right? Yeah, fuck me, I know, right? Yay. Well, have you know, it's been Christmas. I celebrated Christmas, you know, the Christmas. And now I'm back, ready to upload this very useful, not at all redundant educational content on a game that everyone is currently making fun of. So, without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? Today, as you can see, we are playing none other than Neon, the Zoomies, the Zoomer, the high on speed agent that everyone hates because, yes, because she literally stands for everything everyone hates about the game. Running gun. Excuse me, I think I might be getting the flu again. Anyways, moving on, as has come standard on this channel, and as you all know, we'll be going through each of her abilities and how to counter them and how they work. Pretty self-explanatory by this point. We'll be looking at her abilities in the order of C, Q, E, and her ultimate. If you have changed your buttons or your bindings, that is Neon's Wall, Neon's Stun Orb, her Dash, Sprint, Slide, whatever you want to call it, and her ultimate that gives everyone from Iron to Radiant Depression. Notable Neon players, as far as I'm aware, are just Grumpy on Val. He is someone that very often likes to play Neon. And if you want to learn more about the hidden tech and mechanics that Neon has to offer, then I strongly recommend checking out his YouTube channel. So, without further ado, Neon's wall, much similar to Phoenix's wall, is a straight line projectile. Yes, it is a projectile. You can see that thing in the center, that is Neon's wall projectile. The wall will go up once the projectile has reached its length limit, or after a few, if once it hits a surface. You see, it makes that little hole as if it was hit. Neon's wall does not damage allies or enemies and provides no adverse effects whatsoever. It is merely a blocking tool. It should be noted that much like with every character in the game, it seems Riot has actually paid attention and her kit synergizes quite well, if I say so myself. Notable tips for Neon's wall is that if you want to get it to go further or behind walls, you want to aim it slightly higher so that it travels over them. As well as you can actually get it to go up quite high and it will climb whatever surface it goes on so long as the projectile does not encounter anything in the way. You can get it to do some pretty funky things like that. It does not last very long, as you can see, but it can travel a very long distance. In fact, it can very easily cover an entire site. The way to counter Neon's ultimate, sorry, my bad, her ultimate, the wall, is that, well, being a smoke ability and a wall at that, it means that there's always going to be chances for you to actually weave in and out of the smoke. Neon can do the same thing, but as an ability, it's pretty difficult to use because it's so unconventional. There's also no way to twist the wall and make it curve like Phoenix. So, you know, pros and cons here and there. The next ability to look out for is Neon's Stun Orb. Neon fires an orb that travels vertically for 5 seconds before disappearing. If the orb hits a surface, it will bounce off directly off that surface and carry on. If it doesn't hit another surface, it will travel for 5 seconds before disappearing. If it does hit another surface, then a stun will happen, where the orb will actually leave a lightning bolt that will travel directly down and stun anyone within a pretty decently large radius. This is probably the most high skill, high reward ability of the game, because just how difficult it is to actually get it to go where you want it to go. But once you've mastered the ability, it can actually be used to great effectiveness. You can see the way to counter this ability, honestly, is if it hits you, honestly, Neon would sort of have to predict where you're going, because even with it bouncing right next to you, you have plenty of time to walk out of its range. This is more an ability to scare people out of corners than it is to actually effectively stun people. But as you can see, if you get it to bounce in a specific area, then the enemy might end up panicking and might not moving. The stun does actually last quite a long time. It's actually just as long, if not, it's actually just as long as a breach stun whenever it hits an enemy. So, you know, it's a very powerful ability if you land it. The next ability is sort of a double whammy. It is Neon's Sprint. Neon gains an increased movement speed. I think it is a 15% increase. Not a lot, but significant to where she's actually much harder to hit while she's running. Neon's bar at the bottom detects her stamina, and just like any gamer, she can run for about a solid 5 seconds before she needs to catch her breath for a solid 30 minutes. I'm joking, it actually takes a total of about, I think, a minute to completely refill her bar. It should be noted that getting kills does not actually affect Neon's bar in any way in its current state. When Neon is sprinting, you can choose to click your right click ability or whatever you have your ADS bound to, or you know, in this case, you can actually make character specific bindings, and Neon will slide in the direction you are traveling. It should be noted that Neon can, in fact, slide backwards. Let me see. I can't. I suck at Neon. It should be noted. I'm really bad. You can make Neon slide backwards. This used to be a lot harder, but the way you do it is you activate a sprint, and as you're running, you have to jump, and as you're coming back, you have to slide. So you, I got that wrong actually. Let me just get my ult out so I can refill my thing. You press forward, you jump, and as you fall, you press your slide button. Because of the changes that were done to Neon as a character, she can now very easily slide omnidirectionally. So as you can see, I can right click sideways and she'll travel sideways. Can right click to that side and she'll travel that side. If you hold diagonally, she'll slide diagonally, and so on and so forth. The only way to slide backwards is to press back as you're jumping. This is less of an ability as much as it is a gimmick. However, in certain scenarios, it can actually be used to get a pretty free peek out of certain angles. Not easy to pull off, less effective than a jump peek, but definitely somewhat effective nonetheless. Next is Neon's ultimate. Neon's ultimate is very akin to Jet's. The only difference is that instead of daggers, it is a continuous stream. The stream does about, let's say, I can't get it. That divided by 2, so we're looking at 54 damage per tick. Meaning that, as you can see, you can build damage very quickly. In fact, if you hit a total of 3 headshots, that is a kill. I wouldn't recommend playing Neon like that. She is much better played just by holding down. It should be noted that it deals significantly less damage to the legs and less damage to the torso, so ideally you want to aim for a headshot. This wasn't the case before. It used to actually deal the same amount of damage no matter what, but you know what? Because people really appreciate skill in this game, Riot changes so that now you actually get bonus damage if you hit headshots. It was also quite weak for an ultimate, which it's why it needed buffs. Let me see if I can get this to work. If Neon gets a kill with her ultimate, as you can see down there, it actually resets her sprint bar. It should be noted that the ultimate actually loses damage the further you go out, and it requires quite decent tracking to use effectively, because as you can see, shooting someone in the torso will most likely actually get you one shot. Also, in comparison to where strafing to where strafing is the most effective way to use weapons in the game, ideally with Neon you want to make sure you are constantly moving and you're not standing still, because the more you stand still, the more you open yourself up to being killed by the enemy. Another thing to note is when Neon gets a kill with her ultimate, although it resets the ultimate bar, it actually drains significantly faster. In fact, I think it drains almost twice as fast. Once Neon's ultimate sprint bar runs out, she loses her ultimate. That's pretty self-explanatory. It should be noted that when Neon is in her ultimate, she can in fact reset her ult, and with every kill she gets, she can also reset her slide, and Neon can also shoot while she is sliding, which is where I'm talking about that character synergy coming into play. In comparison, if Neon gets a kill Whilst not in her ultimate, it requires 2 kills to get a slide back, whereas in her ultimate, it only requires 1 to get the slide back. As a character in the current meta, Neon is seeing more and more popularity due to the difficulty involved in actually using her abilities, as well as the fact that people are just getting a better grasp as to how to use the character, and as well as the fact that her kit is progressively getting buffed as more patches get rolled out. So she is just getting stronger and stronger as the game goes on, which, you know, every character deserves to be in the limelight at some point, so that's actually very healthy for the game. There's not really much else to add. The only way to really counter the Neon ultimate is to either wait for her to run past you by hiding, because Neons get very excited when they ult, or to just be really good at the game and hit the headshot. Chances are that if you are strafing, the Neon probably doesn't have that good tracking depending on what elo you're in, and the fact that the character herself actually requires quite a decent amount of skill to play correctly. I have been Venter Black 3. Thank you everyone for sticking around and waiting for the new uploads. I know it's been very annoying as they haven't really been coming out at the rate I want them to come out, or the rate you'd appreciate. But once again, thank you for sticking with me. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe the content. Make sure to consume, get that ad revenue in. We are very close to 100 subscribers, and I'd really appreciate any and all support I can get as a small YouTuber. Just remember that the more likes and views the video gets, that tells me you want to see more content from me. Every single little bit is appreciated. I do have a big video that I'm working on that will be released sometime after the new year, and I hope you'll have a great day. Goodbye.